Reddit by Reddit recap. What's the worst thing you have witnessed at a bachelorette party? At the end of my dad's bachelor party, his friends thought it would be a good idea to strip him naked, put him in a shark cage, on a trailer, and drop him off at his mother-in-law's house. I obviously didn't witness this but have heard the same story from too many of his friends for it to be total BS. A friend of mine was a tourist in Finland, walking around downtown Helsinki when along comes a groom sitting buck naked in a wheelbarrow full of popcorn, being pushed down the street by the groomsmen. The groom had to give anyone that asked a bag of popcorn from the wheelbarrow, slowly exposing himself. I've wondered if this is normal Finnish behavior. Bride to be blowing a male stripper while everyone in her party were cheering her on, including her future mother-in-law. Louder cheers when he blew his load in her mouth. It's the future mother-in-law that made it super WTF. I was in Vegas for a bachelor party about a month ago. We pulled up to a car table on Saturday night and found another group of guys who were there for a bachelor party, so we got to talking. We asked which one of them was the bachelor and they kinda laughed then said, well, he got arrested earlier today. Apparently, he got arrested for having some fun powder at a day party and tried to fight security. They said they couldn't see him until Monday after he saw a judge, so they planned to continue with the party until they could see him. Ultimately, the dealer was this Russian woman with a thick accent was listening and said, wait, he got arrested for cocaine? I thought this was Vegas. That's BS. I don't know what ended up happening with him, but that's. Went to a friend's party. Local cop buddy hired a stripper. Long story short, got a lap dance from my ex-girlfriend's mom. Didn't realize it was her till later because she was so out of context and I had never seen her naked with all her stripper makeup glory. Obligatory not a party worker. My friend held her bachelorette party the night before her wedding, and while at the club they met up with a local minor league hockey team. The bride-to-be tried to get the whole bridal party to go back to the hotel with them, but only the bride went. She ended up sleeping with at least one of them and got married to her fiancé the next day. The kicker? She eventually told her now husband about it and now they're in an open relationship. She still hooks up with the hockey player from time to time. Friend's bachelor party. We took a party bus to Chicago from Indiana. I blacked out before we even got there. Wandered the streets and came back to an all-black club where I was chillin' by myself in the corner. I am not black. Went outside and a homeless guy high-fived me and knew me by name. Didn't know where I was and asked the cops to take me back to where I was staying. And they did. New Orleans, our bachelor group good found a bachelorette group and started talking, dancing, etc. It was late in the night at this time, and our bachelor was dancing with their bachelorette mostly at the urging of the bridesmaids because they thought it would be cute. Not too long into it he gets belligerently handsy and heads a bit up the skirt. I didn't see the act but spun around when one of the bridesmaids hollered, "Your bachelor just fingered our bachelorette." We bounced immediately. Bachelorette party near Columbus, Ohio. Typical redneck Ohioans. Girl does a copious amount of shots and then goes shooting. Ends up shooting her neighbor's cat because she was so hammered. Girl gets arrested. Wedding is postponed due to illness. Last I heard they were still married happily. Guy was a very down-to-earth dude. Girl was a bottle of hellfire. Whole party got drunk. Best man admitted to having slept with the bride. Massive bar fight followed. Groom lost one of his front teeth. The wedding still happened, but he kept his mouth shut in all the pictures. Best man was nowhere to be seen and the title was given to the groom's other brother. He brought the pitching machine to the wedding. At the bachelor party we had a stripper nicknamed the pitching machine that would shoot ping pong balls out of her hoo-ha. The best man really hit it off with her, unbeknownst to everyone else at the time. The day of the wedding he showed up with the pitching machine. Group of girls came into the all-male strip club, plastered and screaming and shoving bills every which way. They left and came back in a few minutes later. Bride hysterically crying yet on a rampage. The maid of honor had accidentally given the strippers the $700 they needed to pay for the limo, so they were stranded. Didn't work at one but have a contribution. Went to Vegas for a bachelor party and his mother decided to tag along. She was financing it all anyways. She convinced the groom to sleep with a porn star. We later found out she paid to exclusively come sleep with him so she could guilt him into telling the bride, thus stopping the wedding. It worked. The best man got pissed drunk at breakfast and ate an entire banana without peeling it, and I've questioned if there is a god ever since. 2 of the 3 bachelor parties I've been to were pretty vanilla. Drinks, grill, video games. Of course one of those omitted the drinks because Jesus. The third however was more fun. So turns out the groom and one of the groom's men were lovers at one point, completely unbeknownst to the rest of the world. The groomsman, Chris, decides that tonight was the optimal time to tell the groom, Harris, that he loved him. That he's always loved him since the first time they kissed however long ago. The rest of us just sat there in stunned silence. Right there in my living room they have this huge argument about how Harris wasn't gay and how Chris said he was okay with just being occasional fuck bros for the last 5 years, but they both knew it had to end when he got engaged. Finally it evolved into an actual fist fight and they both ended up with some nasty bruises. We broke it up eventually, but sometimes you just have to let out your physical frustration with your gay lover the night before he gets married. It's one of those weird things though. After it was over and they both calmed down, they just gave a big hug and that was that. Next morning Harris' dad is obviously curious why he has a black eye. We'd agreed to say paintball to everyone and that was the official story. Chris had a bruise too, but he's really black so you couldn't tell that much. Harris' sister used some concealer or something on his eye and the wedding went off without a hitch. Harris is still married to his wife and Chris is still his best friend. So all's well that ends well, I suppose. Late to party, but this was insane. Groom had bachelor party in the back of a bar, private room, big room, like 50 dudes there, including his father. Parents were married. Everyone is drinking heavily. 5 strippers come in. They're basically walking around with cans of whipped cream and you pay money to lick it off of their body. Most of the guys are paying $10 and get to lick one nipple or something. The dude's father, probably in 50s, has one of the girls up on a table. She sprayed whipped cream on her crotch. She's completely naked, and he's kneeling on the floor eating her out. And this continued for minutes. Some guys were laughing. I was in shock. Total shock. I was a wine guide in Southern California. We had a bachelorette party of something like 13 21-year-olds. I got kicked out of the first wineries for being too loud. On my way to drop them off I got pulled over by the highway patrol because they were pressing their ass against the van window and flashing the officer. I came away without a ticket and a pretty funny exchange between the cop and also a young guy in his 20s gave me a thumbs up. When I got back to the office to drop the van off there were ass prints on the windows. My boss laughed. That was a long day, like herding cats. The stripper made the bachelor strip down to his underwear and lay on his back. She then put a cucumber in his mouth and rode the shit out of it. When she was done, she went all the way down on it, twisted her hips and broke that in half. The night of my bachelorette party, which was very tame and pretty lame, a few of us decided to go out to the bars. We witnessed another party where there was a group of about 20 or so girls who were hammered. The bride seemed more messed up than the rest of them. She proceeded to call over the waitress and they started flirting. Like a lot. They went into the back office and started moaning super loud. I could only guess what was going on. My friends and I watched in horror. Then she announced to everyone at the bar that she couldn't get married because she realized she was a lesbian. My night turned out to be pretty entertaining, but once in a while I think back to that girl and wonder if she went through with it or not. When I was 18 my 24-year-old brother was getting married, and I was a groomsman. The entire wedding party still lived near our mom's house, so his best man decided to have the bachelor party in her living room because, in his eyes, it was both convenient and hilarious. Mom is totally cool with it and decides to hide out in her bedroom all night watching TV. The stripper shows up and does her show. At one point she asks who wants to get spanked. My brother's friends, who I've known since I was a kid. Instantly volunteer me. I'm on all fours and this stripper is smacking my ass with a riding crop and I look up to see my mother in the hallway. We lock eyes briefly. An entirely new level of embarrassment washes over me. She looks like she's trying not to laugh too loudly and goes into the bathroom. This was in 2005 and we never spoke of it again. Best comment of the day. Almost all of these examples were from men, and they are mostly pretty tame. Got drunk, pranked the groom, etc. But I've seen a similar thread where contributors were all women, and I've heard a few stories from my female friends. At least half of the examples included the bride having sex or giving a blowjob with someone, stranger, stripper, ex-boyfriend, etc. during/after their bachelorette party. I know one friend who called off his wedding when a good female friend, bridesmaid, I think, sent him mobile phone video of his bride sucking the dick of a stripper during her bachelorette party. The example in the video where the bride gets her little sister to give a blowjob and have sex with the groom at his bachelor party. You gotta wonder what she was doing during her bachelorette party, if that is what she arranged for the groom. Guys are the ones who have the bad reputations for cheating, etc. But, time and time again, women are the ones doing the dodgy sexual shit and cheating on their boyfriend/husband/fiancés. PS. Not gonna lie, I was expecting a few horror stories, but the homicide made my jaw drop.